It's a Fireside Chat, y'all.
Welcome back to another Fireside Chat, where we bring casual technology conversations to you. With us, I've got Trevor Butler, Solutions Architect with Looking Point, and we're talking AWS. Thanks for being on today.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
So you just got back recently from AWS reInvent, and so I'd love to hear kind of what are some of the latest things that are exciting and new from AWS.
Well, I think the biggest thing that they announced, they announced, I don't know, 50 new things.
Yeah.
But the big one that they kept talking about was they just completed their backbone network between all of their regions.
Okay, and now the backbone network, what does that change for if I'm an AWS user? What is that, or an AWS, my infrastructure is in AWS, what does that change for me?
Right, so traditionally the regions were all networked together and services all resided within one network, but you couldn't talk to another service or peer with another service in a different region. Now that they've actually connected all the regions together, you can do stuff like VPC peering, not just in the region, but inter-region VPC peering, all at the same cost that it would be if it was in the same region.
So what does that enable you to do? Like, how does that translate into an application or a workload? What would that mean in terms of for you on an application or workload basis?
Well, now, like, say we'll just use like RDS. That's their database, their backend database. You want to replicate to multiple regions. You have your master, you have a slave, and maybe in one region, then you have replicas in other regions. Now, rather than having to build these complex VPN tunnels over the internet and trying to get those replications over to the other region, you can now use the backbone directly. It's easy. They've actually built it into that service.
Okay.
To use the backbone natively now, both for compliance reasons and for ease of use.
So I guess historically, region-to-region communication, you would need to create a VPN from region 1 to region 2.
Over the public internet.
Got it. And so now with this new backbone network, we can provide connectivity between region 1 to region 2 through the application natively, or through the backend natively.
Yeah, and it's native now.
Okay.
So
okay.
There's not a little trickery you have to do that you used to have to do now.
Okay. Awesome. And so that gives you a lot of flexibility in scaling out applications, and flexibility is really it too, I would imagine.
Right.
Cool.
Yeah.
So that's a huge innovation. Talking about like the backbone and everything else. What are some of the other things that you saw around networking that were impressive and exciting?
Well, this has been out for probably about 6 months now, but they now have transit VPCs.
Okay.
Earlier in 2017, we didn't have those, and they've throughout the year have developed and worked with customers to build what they call transit VPCs. Now, in a traditional network or architecture, it would be VPCs having a mesh network of their VPNs or VPN peerings, all just going every which way, and then every single on-premise would have to have a VPN into each VPC. Now, with transit VPCs, you can have one hub that all the VPCs connect to.
Okay.
And that includes VPCs that are not even in the same account. So, or big organizations that may have different departments that have multiple AWS accounts can now have a single transit VPC where they have their like CSR routers from Cisco or the MX device from Meraki, and then they can bring their kind of flavor of WAN into that transit VPC and then have a seamless transition into their regular VPCs.
Okay, so they can use that as kind of a tiering mechanism or a connectivity mechanism to having like a connectivity VPC and then application VPCs, and bridge those together. Is that kind of what you're saying?
Right, and it greatly reduces the complexity of the network across AWS.
Okay, awesome. And then I heard there was also some VMware announcements. Can you give me a little bit of info on that?
Yeah, so back in March time, around the San Francisco summit, AWS summit, VMware announced that they were going to work with AWS to provide a platform in there. And they have now rolled it out. It's now live. And So now you can actually natively bring your VMware guests into AWS using vCenter, and it's all through a VMware account that they create for you in AWS.
Okay.
And additionally, you can also tie in any AWS services that you have.
Okay.
And connect them to that VPC that VMware creates, and it will then kind of bridge the gap between your on-premise vCenter and your AWS.
And I've also heard that your vCenter, your on-premise vCenter, will actually see the Amazon data center in vCenter.
Yeah.
Okay. And
it just shows up as just another data center in vCenter.
Okay. And so it works very similar to how it would if you had you own the data center.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Awesome. So really, it sounds like the backbone, huge innovation there. VMware, and then also some of the load balancing capabilities, the VPC connectivity. Those are all some really nice innovations out of AWS.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you being on today, and thanks for coming out.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
All right. Well, so there you have it. Amazon's continuing to add features and functionality to make their cloud better to use and build on. If you have any questions, you can email us at firesidechat@lookingpoint.com. Thanks for watching.
It's a fireside chat, y'all.